Hello and welcome to the first video in Adapted Labs video tutorials. In this video set, we will be making a platformer video game in the Unity game engine. By the end of this video, students will be able to describe the functions of the menu options, explain the purposes of the panels in the integrated development environment, create assets using at least 2 of the 3 creation methods, and explain the uses of the hand, move, rotate, and scales tools. So, let's get started. Welcome to the Unity IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. The first thing that we're going to look at today are the menu options. The menu options can be found here in the top left corner of the screen. You have a file, edit, assets, game object, component, window, and help tool. We'll be going through some of the basics that you'll use more often while leaving out the ones that will be used more infrequently, as this is a beginner's course. Under the File menu, you'll find some of your basic options. You'll be able to create a new scene, open a new scene, save your scene with using either save or save as, create a new project, open a new project, save a project. You'll also be able to build your game and run it, or adjust the settings for your build. By default, Unity will be loaded with the PC, Mac, and Linux standalones. If you'd like some of the other ones, such as Xbox, Android, or WebGL, you'll have to load those modules. Those modules can be found in various platforms. For example, WebGL and Universal Windows platform can be downloaded through the Microsoft Visual Studio. Android has a specific SDK, standard development kit, that you can download the modules with. iOS requires a module installed, but I'll have to double check. I believe that you need to be building on an actual Mac computer for it. The PS5 and PS4 modules can only be downloaded if your license covers PlayStation publishing. In the edit menu, you can undo actions, you can redo an actions, you can select or deselect the assets in your scene, you can cut, copy, paste, duplicate, you can rename and delete. More commonly, you'll be using the project settings, as the project settings will provide a way for you to change inputs, adjust the audio and the editor settings, as well as other things that you can do in the settings menu. The assets menu will allow you to create different assets for your project. It will allow you to import assets as well as packages. The game objects menu will allow you to also create assets in the Unity IDE. Your component menu will allow you to add different components to a game object. As you can see, mesh, effects, and physics are all grayed out. With the cube selected in the scene, now you can see that they're not grayed out, because then I have an asset selected that I can now add a component to, as in the case where I just added this rigid body. Your window menu will allow you to open different windows and panels in the Unity IDE. You can also change the layouts. You can access the asset store, and even the package manager. The help menu, as with many other programs, will provide you links to different help tools in the Unity game engine. There's the manual, as well as the forum and the answers. The forum and the answers are two valuable websites where members of the community will assist you with any questions you have. The next thing we're going to go over are the panels. The panels will be found here in the center or main part of the window. Beginning with the hierarchy panel, the hierarchy panel will have everything that you need for your level. As you can see, there's already a main camera, a cube, and a sphere. By default, all scenes come with a main camera. You can add assets here in your hierarchy by clicking on this plus sign, and then this will allow you to access the game object menu. As you can see, I just added a capsule. You may also right click with the mouse button to also access a portion of the edit menu and a portion of the game object menu in order to create more objects. And now there's a plane. The scene panel is your workspace. This is where all the objects are set at in your game. This is where you can manipulate them by moving them, rotating them, and scaling them, putting them into place. The game panel is where you'll be able to preview your game by pressing the play button. It will give you an idea of what the game will look like for the players. It will also allow you to test during development to find any bugs or issues with the code or scene assets. The inspector window or panel will be found off to your right. The inspector will only have items visible in it so long as you have an object selected in your hierarchy. For example, currently I have the capsule selected. You can see different components that are already pre-listed in it: transform, a mesh filter, a mesh render, and a collider. We'll get into those later. You can also add a component to it here versus just going up here to the component menu by clicking on add component. You can then search by what you need the component to do, or search for the component itself and then add it. Not all components will be the same in the inspector. For example, the camera has different components in it than the cube. Next, you'll have your project window. The project window contains all the assets you need for your game, everything that you've loaded. You'll find different folders. You can create folders in here to better organize. In this case, you'll find packages for a 2D game because I used a 2D template when I created this project. If you right click in the assets folder, you can find some parts of the assets menu here. You can create items or assets that you need for your game, and you can import assets and import packages. The console window will be where messages, warnings, and errors appear here in your screen. We'll learn more about those when we get into debugging. The last thing we're going to talk about are the tools. The tools can be found up here in between the hierarchy menu and our hierarchy panel and the menus. Starting from the left, we have the hand tool. The hand tool will allow you to pan around the screen. So once you click the hand tool, you come into the scene panel and you can move left, right, up, down. You may also orbit around the scene by holding the Alt key. If you hold the Alt key and press the middle mouse button down, you can also access the hand tool. And you can zoom by holding the Alt key and the right mouse button, and then moving your mouse cursor left and right, up and down will allow you to zoom in and zoom out. You may also zoom in and out on a focused object by using the scroll wheel. Next to the hand tool, we have the move tool. The shortcut for the move tool is the W key. The move tool allows you to move objects in the world space. In this 3D environment, you can move objects in three directions: up and down, left and right, forward and back. In a 2D space, you'll only be able to move objects left and right, up and down in the X and Y axis. Next to the move tool, we have the rotate tool, which is the shortcut E on your keyboard. The rotate tool allows you to rotate a game object about its axis, its pivot point. Next to the rotate tool, we have the scale tool with the shortcut R. The scale tool allows you to adjust the size of an object, whether it's just the length, the width, or the height. Or you can scale all three together by clicking on this white box. You may also change the transition, rotation, and scale in the transform component of any game object. That concludes this video tutorial on the Unity IDE environment. By now, you should be able to describe the basic functions of the menu options, explain the purposes of the panels in the IDE, create assets using 2 of the 3 creation methods, and explain the uses of the hand, move, rotate, and scale tools. Thank you for joining us today.